First Brands on Sunday declared bankruptcy themselves. And it's not anything where you look at this and say, okay, like this in and of itself is the problem, because First Brands has about $12 billion in debt, which is big, but nothing like crazy. But it's the combination of that with Tricolor going under, and you had CarMax report some really bad earnings last week. You've got Ford saying, hey, we need to start going down market with our lending standards on F-150s. And I made a comment last week that like something stinks in the auto sector. I don't know like how big it is or what it means, but something stinks there. And I want to dig in more on this First Brands item, because the big thing with First Brands is they took a page right out of the freaking Lehman Brothers handbook. I got to tell you, whenever I see this stuff, I keep coming back to it. There's only two things that blow you up in finance. And it's the same things every time. It's securitization and leverage. And usually it's the leverage that ends up blowing you up, because if you just securitize things that aren't levered, you're fine. But no one wants to do that because all the money's made with the leverage, and so people are like,
borrow other people's money to make it more valuable.
Exactly. So Lehman Brothers, back in the run-up to the financial crisis, before they went belly up, they used a program called Repo 105. And Repo 105 was a fancy way of saying, hey, we're going to sign a short-term repurchase agreement where we sell off a bunch of assets, in this case, money that like things that we've lent, and we're going to take cash from this, and it makes our books look better because it doesn't look like we have a bunch of non-performing loans on our books. It looks like we've got a bunch of cash on our books. And Lehman would do this at the end of quarters in order to make their books look better. And lo and behold, this is basically what First Brands was doing with a bunch of off-balance sheet loans that they'd have. They just kind of like cycle through and, we'll sell this one off for a little bit and take cash back so we can borrow more. And this is how a company that, by the way, was not, as big, anywhere near as big as the amount of debt that they had outstanding, ended up like taking on $900 million in annual debt servicing costs on $5 billion in revenue.
So I agree that this spells some ugly stuff for the auto sector as a whole. They're already struggling with real business issues such as tariffs and lack of demand for the types of cars that they were building, a consumer that has weakened, a number of auto loans that were connected to people who were already not in good shape, some of whom were recently deported, all sorts of issues that are coming to the forefront here for the auto industry.